Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're taking a deep dive into something that might seem incredibly simple. It's a short, everyday conversation between two friends, Mia and Daniel.
Yeah, and our source material, it's basically just a transcript of them chatting at a cafe. And there's also a list of, like, some useful words that you use.
Exactly. But what's fascinating, and this is our mission today really, is how much genuine natural English communication is packed into just, a few minutes of them talking.
Right. We want to look closely at this seemingly simple chat, understand how these real conversations actually flow, and importantly, pull out those specific vocabulary bits, those expressions that help you sound less like you're reading from a book and, well, more like a native speaker.
Totally. Because you're going to hear them catching up on stuff that's just so relatable. Work struggles, trying to stay fit, or maybe failing to stay fit.
Getting hooked on a new show, navigating life, all that good stuff.
So the big question we're kind of tackling in this deep dive is, how much practical, usable English can we actually mine from this kind of short, authentic interaction?
Let's find out. Let's dive in.
All right, so jumping right into the flow of this catch-up, it kicks off pretty much exactly how you'd expect when you haven't seen someone for a bit. Daniel says, "Hey, Mia, it's been way too long. I'm starting to think you forgot about me."
That opening is spot on, isn't it? Way too long. It's super common, maybe a little exaggerated, just to emphasize that, wow, time has really flown.
Yeah, it feels like ages.
And that starting to think you forgot about me bit, it's that perfect lighthearted tease, shows they're comfortable, they can joke around like that.
Definitely. And Mia comes right back with the classic reason, haha, no way, I've just been swamped with work lately. You know how it is.
Ah, swamp. There it is. Our first big vocabulary word from the list. And it's such a good one.
It really is.
It doesn't just mean busy. It means, like, overwhelmed. You're drowning in tasks. It paints a really vivid picture, much stronger than just saying, oh, I've been very busy.
Absolutely. It's got that feeling of being underwater almost. And that little phrase she tags on, you know how it is. That's another gem, isn't it? It's like saying, we share this, right? You get it. You understand this pain.
Totally. It builds instant connection. And Daniel obviously does get it because he says, totally get it. I've been juggling so many things too. Work, errands, trying to stay fit.
And there's our next word, juggling.
Yeah, not literal juggling, thankfully.
No.
But it's such a perfect metaphor, isn't it, for managing multiple things at once. Work, life stuff, health. Trying to keep all those balls in the air.
Without dropping any. Right.
No.
It really captures that feeling of constant effort and maybe a bit of chaos just under the surface.
Exactly. And speaking of trying to stay fit, that leads straight into another relatable struggle they bond over.
Oh, yeah. Mia mentions trying yoga again, but says she can't keep up and her body hurts. Classic.
And Daniel confesses he's been meaning to go back to the gym, but, and this is key, I always bail at the last minute.
Bail at the last minute. Such a great phrase.
It is. It means you fully intend to do something. You might even get ready.
Put your gym clothes on.
Exactly. And then right before it's time to go, you just, nope, decide not to. It's the perfect description for that procrastination or that sudden loss of motivation for something you feel you should do.
Oh, it's so relatable. I think everyone's done that. And what's the usual alternative when you bail on exercise?
Well, according to Mia, sometimes I just want to curl up on the couch and binge watch something instead.
Enter binge watch, another one from our list.
Yep. Defined as watching many episodes of a show in one sitting. It's just like core to modern life now with streaming, isn't it?
Completely.
It perfectly describes losing yourself for hours in a really compelling series. That feeling of just one more episode.
Which naturally leads them right into talking about a specific show, this one called Echo City. Daniel says it's got everyone hooked.
Got everyone hooked. That's a really natural way to say something's incredibly popular and addictive. People are just captivated.
Yeah. And they mentioned staying up way too late watching it, saying they couldn't stop. Those are the classic signs, right? You're totally engrossed.
Absolutely. And this is where the conversation really lights up, when they start talking about the show's plot twist.
The plot twist. Mia's reaction is priceless. The plot twist totally caught me off guard. I didn't see that coming at all.
And Daniel's right there with her. I was like, wait, what just happened?
Perfect reactions. And those are two really crucial terms for talking about TV or movies. Plot twist, that unexpected turn in the story.
Right. That moment that makes you gasp or rethink everything.
And caught me off guard. It means it surprised you completely. You just weren't expecting it. Pow.
Exactly. These phrases are essential for sharing that wow moment. They convey genuine surprise, maybe even a bit of shock. It's how we talk about exciting moments in stories.
And they sum up the show as intense but addictive, which I think is a great description for things that might be a bit heavy or challenging, but you just can't pull yourself away.
Mm-hmm. It captures that perfectly. And from there, the chat pivots again really smoothly into planning something fun together.
Yeah, a watch party for this very show, Echo City.
Right. And planning future hangouts, that's a huge part of these casual catch-ups, isn't it?
Yeah.
The suggestion is for a watch party with, what was it? Snacks, chill vibes, the whole deal.
Chill vibes is another great term from our list.
It is. It just means a relaxed, comfortable, easygoing atmosphere. Nothing stuffy or formal, just easy.
Like put your feet up, relax.
Exactly. And the whole deal, that's just an informal way of saying everything that usually comes with it, or all the expected stuff. Like snacks are part of the deal for a watch party.
Gotcha. And notice the condition Mia puts on it. A playful one. Only if you promise not to spoil anything. She even calls him Mr. Talks-a-Lot.
Yeah, that little bit of teasing shows their comfort level. It makes their friendship feel really authentic. You can just picture them saying it.
Definitely. Okay, so from binge watching and party planning, they shift gears again. This time to the joys of work. Daniel asks, "So how's work been? Still dealing with that picky manager?"
The dreaded manager topic, never far away in these chats. And Mia's description, not exactly glowing. Oh yes, he's still a piece of work.
A piece of work. Our list defines that as someone who is difficult or unpleasant.
Yeah, it's definitely not a compliment. It's a very common informal language when you're venting about someone who's just troublesome or annoying.
And she gives the reason why he's such a piece of work. Micromanages everything. It's driving me nuts.
Okay, 2 more key bits there. Micromanage, another vital term from the list. It means controlling every tiny detail, often unnecessarily.
It's like they're breathing down your neck.
Exactly. It shows a lack of trust, usually super frustrating for the person being micromanaged. And it's driving me nuts. That's a classic idiom, isn't it? It means something is extremely annoying, frustrating, making you feel crazy. It expresses that feeling so vividly.
It really does. So Daniel offers some sympathy, asks if she's at least getting credit for her hard work. But Mia's feeling pretty meh about it. She feels like she's just going through the motions most days.
Going through the motions. Another fantastic idiom.
Mm-hmm.
It means you're doing the actions, the tasks, out of routine or obligation, but without any real effort or interest or enthusiasm. Your heart's just not in it.
Yeah, like you're on autopilot.
Precisely. It's a perfect way to describe feeling bored or just totally disengaged with your job.
And that kind of feeling, as Daniel points out, can really wear you down. Which, of course, leads to the next big life question.
Yep. Have you thought about switching jobs?
Mia hesitates, though. A little, she says. But the market's so competitive right now, it's a leap, and I'm not sure I'm ready.
Okay, so competitive market. That's on our list, too. It means it's tough out there. Hard to find what you want because lots of other people are trying for the same thing, the same jobs.
Right. It immediately explains why she's hesitant. It's not just laziness, it's a real barrier. And calling it a leap that emphasizes it feels like a big risk, a major change.
Yeah, not just a small step. And this is where the conversation takes another turn, moving from venting frustration towards, well, reflecting on life's unpredictability.
Yeah, they acknowledge it's tough, but then pivot to something a bit more hopeful. Daniel suggests maybe the right opportunity will pop up when you least expect it.
And then you get that string of almost philosophical but very common everyday phrases we use to kind of cope with uncertainty.
Like what?
Well, things like, life's funny like that.
Yeah.
Got to stay open to new doors. Life has a weird way of surprising us. And that idea of one minute you're stuck, the next you're on a whole new path.
Right. It's not like deep philosophy 101.
No, not at all.
But it's the comforting stuff we say, isn't it? The shared ways we talk about embracing the unknown and hoping things work out.
Exactly. It shows how even in a casual chat, people touch on these deeper anxieties and hopes. And they use these common expressions to acknowledge that, yeah, life doesn't always go according to plan.
Okay, so after that brief moment of reflection, the conversation circles back really nicely to finalize the plan, the watch party plan.
Back to practicalities. They settle on Friday night. Why Friday? Because Mia says she could use something fun to look forward to.
Which is totally understandable, right? Especially if work is, well, driving her nuts. It grounds the plan in an emotional need, wanting something positive to anticipate.
Definitely. And Daniel offers to bring popcorn and his best movie commentary.
Which immediately prompts that final playful warning about spoilers. As long as the commentary doesn't come with spoilers.
Uh-huh, yeah. And Daniel's response, he makes a promise. Scout's honor, I'll behave.
Scout's honor. That's another classic informal phrase, isn't it?
It is. It's a way to make a promise sound sincere, often used kind of lightly or humorously between friends. It implies you can be trusted. I promise, basically.
Got it. So they confirm the plan, calling it a date. Well, a friendly one, which is just a cute, informal way to frame it.
Yeah, keeps it light. And they both express that they're looking forward to it, can't wait. And same here, mutual anticipation.
And then they wrap it all up by acknowledging the connection itself. It's really nice catching up, Daniel says.
And the final promise, let's not wait so long next time. Which brings the whole conversation full circle, back to the beginning where it had been way too long.
So, you see, in just those few minutes, they zip through greetings, making excuses, sharing struggles with fitness and motivation, bonding over a TV show, planning a social event.
Venting about work frustrations, discussing career anxieties, doing a bit of life reflection, and then confirming those future plans. It's like a mini snapshot of two lives intersecting.
And they did it using all these natural conversational tools, these common words and phrases.
Exactly. And as we went through that analysis, you probably heard many of those terms that were specifically highlighted on the vocabulary list that came with this transcript. Understanding these words and phrases isn't just about memorizing a definition from a list. It's about seeing them in action, understanding why they're used and why they make the conversation sound so real, so natural.
Absolutely. So maybe we should pull out that list now explicitly and just quickly revisit these key terms one by one, thinking about the why behind them.
Good idea. Let's do it. First up was swamped.
Yeah, Mia used it right at the start. Swamped with work.
Right. So meaning very busy, but crucially with that added feeling of being overwhelmed, overloaded, like you're wading through deep water or mud. That's the image.
Yeah, much more evocative than just busy.
Definitely. Okay, next, juggling. Daniel used this one.
Juggling so many things, work, errands, fitness.
Perfect example. Managing multiple things at once. And the metaphor works because juggling implies skill, effort, and the constant risk of dropping something. It captures that feeling of having too many demands.
Totally. Okay, the manager. The lovely manager was described using micromanage.
Yes. To control every tiny detail of someone's work. It implies they're overly controlling, maybe don't trust you, and it's usually incredibly frustrating. It specifies how the manager is difficult.
Got it. And the reason Mia was hesitant about finding a new job, the competitive market.
Right. A situation where it's hard to succeed because many people want the same thing, in this case, jobs. It explains the difficulty concisely. It's not just her feeling, it's an external factor.
Makes sense. The exciting bit in the show? The plot twist.
Simple definition.
Yeah.
Unexpected change in the story. But its power in conversation comes from sharing that feeling, the surprise, the shock, the whoa moment you experience together or want to share.
Yeah, it's about sharing the reaction. Okay, the alternative to the gym, binge watch.
To watch many episodes, one after another. This word is so common now because the behavior is so common. It implies a deliberate session of watching, not just passively having the TV on.
Right, like a mission. Okay, back to the manager again, described as a piece of work.
Yeah. Someone difficult, unpleasant, troublesome, definitely informal, definitely negative. It's a judgment. A way of summing someone up is inherently annoying when you're venting.
Noted. And how did that plot twist feel? It caught me off guard.
Meaning it surprised you unexpectedly. You weren't prepared. It works for plot twists, surprise quizzes, sudden news, anything that hits you out of the blue. It emphasizes the unexpectedness.
Okay, and lastly, for the watch party, they wanted chill vibes.
A relaxed, comfortable atmosphere. It's all about the feeling, the mood, not tense, not formal, just easygoing and pleasant. A great informal term for setting the tone.
Perfect.
So looking back at these terms, swamped, juggling, micromanage, competitive market, plot twist, binge watch, piece of work, caught off guard, chill vibes, you can see how they're just woven into everyday chat about work, life, fun.
Yeah, they're not fancy words, but they are kind of essential, aren't they, for understanding and really participating in these normal, everyday English conversations? So what does this all mean for you, listening in? Well, by taking this, magnifying glass to just a few minutes of what seems like simple chat, we've seen how real English flows, the kinds of everyday things people actually talk about, and Maybe most importantly, we've pulled out some really practical vocabulary. These words and phrases, they're kind of your shortcut to sounding more natural, more fluent in those casual settings.
It really does highlight that you don't always need complex novels or academic texts to improve your conversational English.
Hmm.
Sometimes just listening closely to simple, authentic interactions like this one that gives you the actual language tools people use every single day.
The tools they use to connect, to share what's going on in their lives.
Exactly.
It is truly fascinating, isn't it? How much depth you can find in just the everyday. Think about how much of our connection with, friends, family, coworkers relies on these shared informal ways we have of describing things.
Our busy lives, our little frustrations, the simple joys, the plans we make,
Right, all of it.
which kind of leaves us with a thought to ponder, doesn't it? Beyond the topics me and Daniel covered, work, fitness, TV, what other common everyday situations out there? Maybe grabbing a coffee, your commute, going shopping, even just walking the dog. What essential informal vocabulary belongs to those situations?
Things you might not even notice unless you really stop and listen closely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe keep an ear out for that. See what you notice in the wild.